Hello, everyone. Do your thoughts ever resemble this? Or this? The hamster wheel and hole are really good metaphors for anxious thinking. You just go round and round with the same worries, disaster scenarios, and negative self-talk, getting nowhere but spending a ton of energy in the process. The more you try to escape, the more you just dig in deeper. Art for anxiety today. Put down that shovel. We're going to the railway station. By the way, I'm Nancy Langham-Hooper, PhD, art historian, and cultural enthusiast, ready to use the great art of the world to help you out. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, ding the little notification bell, and you will be informed as I post every single Friday. So, especially lately, anxiety is a huge issue, a massive mental health problem affecting millions, and something that I have personal experience of, as well as watching those I love struggle. Anxious thinking can be exhausting and get you no closer to the elusive solution that will stop the madness. You can't talk yourself out of anxiety. You can't reason with yourself. Others can't reason with anxiety on your behalf. It just doesn't respond to logic. One of the best ways out is to shift your focus to something else. One way to do that is distraction. Another way is mindfulness. Distraction, we need no help with. What did God invent Netflix for if not to soothe our anxious thoughts? But the problem here is that distraction only works for the time you are being distracted. Once the credits roll, you can once again hear the squeak of that hamster wheel. Mindfulness, on the other hand, has more long-term benefits. Mindfulness pulls you into the present moment, using your senses to ground yourself. If the hamster wheel is out of control abstract thought, then mindfulness is concrete, the here and now. Often, mindfulness concentrates on you, how you are feeling, how you are thinking in that moment, and this can be really helpful. But often on that hamster wheel, the last thing you need is more focus on yourself. That can sometimes make your anxiety worse. Enter mindful distraction. Let's be present, let's be in the here and now, let's make an effort to use our senses, but it doesn't have to be all about us. Art is wonderful mindful distraction. Any art. Careful looking is a great way to pull yourself out of the hole, and there are no genres or time periods I would recommend above any others for this. Go look at real art if you can, but look on your computer, TV, or in a book if you can't. And pick things that you like, the things that appeal to you. Take some time to really look at them. Every corner, every inch. What do you see? Another fabulous mindful distraction is people watching. I know many of us can't do that right now, but remember how it was to sit and watch the crowd go by? To notice the little things? We're going to combine art and people watching with our painting today, The Railway Station by William Powell Frith. Frith gave his viewers more cinema than poetry with his large crowd scenes, and this one was a blockbuster. This is Paddington Station, 1862. It's really evocative. Can't you just hear the crowd? The steam trains hiss. You can see the haze of the smoke, the expressions on the faces, the clamor of the crowd moving toward the carriage. Frith has created a realistic scene of Victorian London back when the hustle and bustle of the multitude was still something relatively new. Though the railway station and Frith's other pictures were hugely popular, some critics said, well, they're not art, are they? But Frith was always more interested in documenting the life he saw around him than emoting with his art. In fact, he said, quote, "Pictures of contemporary life and manners have a better chance of immortality than 99 out of any 100 of the ideal and so-called poetical pictures produced in this generation." With the Industrial Revolution only a few decades old, the Victorians were still adjusting to their new normal. They liked to reflect on how bananas it was sometimes, and people watching became a thing. The mixing of an urban crowd with characters from every class, background, and age thrown together in the same tableau was unique and fascinating drama. It was also just an ordinary day at the railway station. So let's take a seat here and people watch. Do you want a coffee? Tea? Stale pastry? Okay, let's start from the left of the painting. Okay, on the far left in the front, you can see a gamekeeper, and he's got his trusty 2 dogs with him. He's getting them all ready to go on what was known as the dog cart. But behind him, there is an upper class woman who has smuggled in her little Maltese terrier under her cloak and been caught by the porter. And he's saying she has to go in the dog wagon, and she doesn't like that. And if you look at her daughter behind her shoulder, she is staring daggers at that porter. The next little group we see is a family in a rush to make the train with way too much luggage, which they are making the poor porter push along for them. You see the mother in her red cloak just kind of rushed. The father grabs one hand of their son, the mother grabs the hand of their daughter, and everybody is just in a fuss to try and make this train. Just behind that group and to the right, you see a very touching scene of a young sailor saying goodbye while the mother holds the girl or boy up to say goodbye to their father. Maybe a sad look on the mother's face there. Now, this group that's front and center is actually portraits of the artist and his family. So the father standing with his hand on the young boy's shoulder, that's William Powell Frith, the artist of this painting. And the woman kissing her son goodbye is his wife. And those are pictures of his 2 sons, and his daughter and younger son are standing next to them. And this is them saying goodbye to their boys going to boarding school. And there's drama in this as well, because the youngest boy, who's kissing his mother, has his new cricket bat and he's off and he can't wait, whereas the older boy has been to boarding school and is not looking forward to it. You can tell by his face. And you can see how his sister kind of stares into his eyes, but he's looking like he might break down. Whereas the younger brother, the one just standing there taking it all in, he's seeing the railway station for the very first time, so his eyes are full of wonder. He's going through something a lot different. Standing right next to Frith and his family is a little tableau of a foreigner and his wife who are arguing with a cabbie who's told them that he's not paid enough. So you see the cabbie has his hand out with only 1 coin in, and he's demanding more money. The foreigner looks at him, doesn't know if he's being cheated or not, and his wife is being quite protective, saying, hey, we don't owe you anything else. Behind them, the recruiting sergeant and his wife, seen in the red coat, flings up his child and says a goodbye for a much shorter time as he boards the train with all his new recruits. And you can tell the new recruits because they've got these little tassels on their hats. So you can see them there in various states of, oh my gosh, what have I just done? The next group is by far the fanciest. This is the upper class wedding. And you can see the bride and groom, and she's being said goodbye to by her bridesmaids, her sisters, who are wishing her all the best. But the youngest bridesmaid, little girl in front of her, is crying, and she doesn't understand why her sister should have to go away. And her nurse is next to her, laughing at her tears, and her little brother is trying his best to comfort her. The new husband carefully hands his wife's jewel case to his manservant, a symbol of his new responsibilities as husband. And of course, the porter is picking up all of their bags and stuff they've dropped, because that's what rich people do, I guess. And to the far right, the most dramatic scene yet. 2 top-hatted police officers apprehend a suspect on the run, handing him a warrant for his arrest while they get the handcuffs ready. The man and his wife had almost escaped into the carriage, and you see that his foot was on the platform to get up onto the train, and his wife was already inside the carriage. You can see her worried face as she chews on her glove. So that's the main drama in the foreground, but there's loads happening in this painting that I just don't have time to talk about. Look at the porters piling all the luggage onto the roof of the train. There are boys selling newspapers, an invalid father being helped by his daughters, and even the guy who commissioned this painting is there talking with the engineer, right in the background there. What drama, right? When the railway station was first exhibited, it came with a really thick guidebook that described everyone in the painting, what they were doing, what they were thinking, and even what they were feeling. I haven't got that one to hand, but I did find a diagram of everybody in the painting. I'll link to it on my website along with a good image of the painting if you want to have a little look for yourself. One of the best things about Frith's work, that's hard. One of the best things about Frith's work is that it encourages us to see our world in a new way, as a large narrative that's all around us if only we notice. A 3-volume novel every day. Maybe you don't have access to a railway station at the moment, but look out your window. Notice the other people shopping near you, or maybe the ants that fight over crumbs of your picnic. Drama is everywhere. And if you're in lockdown and don't have access to crowds, Frith did a few other paintings too. I'll link to them in the description box below. And of course, looking and noticing are not only excellent ways to engage with art, they're mindful practices that can help stop that hamster wheel. Remember not to beat yourself up if you're having anxious thoughts. Just try to be present and be gentle on yourself. Hole digging and wheel running are exhausting. So I hope that's helped you to stop digging that hole for a bit. As always, I have links in the description box below on Frith and a few on anxiety support. And as always, deep breath. You got this. I'll see you next time.